Climbing Mount Everest is more than a physical endeavor. It is a confrontation with the raw forces of nature, human ambition, and the fragility of life. For decades, the allure of standing atop the highest point on Earth has drawn adventurers from around the globe, promising glory, awe, and an unparalleled sense of achievement. Yet, this dream comes with peril. The very mountain that inspires climbers is also a relentless force that tests their every decision, judgment, and ounce of preparation. Towering at 29,032 feet, Everest's breathtaking beauty masks its dangers. Razor-thin oxygen levels, temperatures that can plummet to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, and terrain riddled with ice falls, crevasses, and sheer cliffs make every step treacherous. The challenges are relentless, but as daunting as the environment is, history shows that human error often poses an even greater risk. Misjudged weather, insufficient preparation, or overconfidence can swiftly turn a triumphant expedition into a tragedy. The death zone, the stretch above 26,000 feet, epitomizes Everest's deadly nature. Here the air is so thin that the human body begins to shut down, even at rest. Every movement becomes a monumental effort. Climbers risk frostbite, hallucinations, and even cerebral edema as their bodies and minds falter. It is within this zone that the mountain's harshest lessons are taught and where countless dreams have been lost. Today, we delve into the harrowing tales of climbers who ventured into Everest's unforgiving heights, only to face the ultimate cost. These stories are cautionary tales, reminders that ambition must always be tempered with respect for nature's power and human limitations. In May 1982, Marty Hoey stood on the brink of history. A seasoned mountaineer with an impressive resume, she had summited Mount Rainier over 100 times and tackled some of the world's most formidable peaks. Her determination, skill, and meticulous nature had earned her the respect of her peers. Everest was to be her crowning achievement, a chance to become the first American woman to summit the world's tallest mountain. Marty joined a team of elite climbers led by the legendary Jim Wickwire. The group was strong, experienced, and determined to conquer Everest's summit. By May 15th, they were making their way toward Camp 6, the final staging ground for their summit push. The journey was grueling. The team ascended a steep, icy slope where loose snow shifted unpredictably underfoot. Temperatures were bone-chilling, and the thin air in the death zone made every step feel like a Herculean effort. The climbers relied on fixed ropes to navigate the dangerous terrain. These ropes served as lifelines, and climbers meticulously clipped their harnesses to them to prevent fatal falls. Marty, known for her caution, was methodical as always. Yet, at over 26,000 feet, where oxygen deprivation clouds, judgment and fatigue dulls reflexes, even the most experienced climbers are vulnerable. As Marty and Jim navigated a narrow ledge, she leaned back to allow him to pass. In that brief moment, her harness buckle came undone. Unaware of the danger, she shifted her weight and slipped. In an instant, Marty was unhooked from the rope. Gravity claimed her, and she tumbled 6,000 feet into a deep crevasse. Her body was never recovered. Jim Wickwire later recalled the moment with a mix of disbelief and sorrow. Marty's error, a harness not fully secured, was heartbreakingly simple, yet it cost her everything. Her death sent shockwaves through the mountaineering community, serving as a grim reminder of how unforgiving Everest can be. Even the smallest oversight can have catastrophic consequences, especially in the death zone. Nearly 24 years later, in May 2006, David Sharp embarked on an Everest expedition that would cement his name in mountaineering history, but for tragic reasons. A seasoned climber, David had summited Cho-Oyu, the world's 6th highest mountain, and approached Everest with a quiet confidence. Yet his decision to climb without adequate support would prove fatal. David joined a no-service expedition, which meant he would have no guides or Sherpa support beyond advanced base camp. He carried only 2 bottles of oxygen, enough for about 10 hours in the death zone, barely sufficient for the ascent and descent. His plan was bold, but dangerously minimalist. On May 14th, David began his summit push from a high camp on the northeast ridge. Ignoring the 2 p.m. turnaround rule, he climbed late into the day. Whether he reached the summit remains uncertain, but by nightfall, David was in trouble. Exhausted and out of oxygen, he sought refuge in Green Boots Cave, a rocky alcove named after the body of an earlier climber, whose green boots still mark the site. At 28,000 feet, Green Boots Cave offered little protection. Temperatures plummeted, and David's frostbitten body began to shut down. Over the next 24 hours, more than 40 climbers passed him. Some assumed he was already dead. Others deemed him beyond saving. Among them was Mark Inglis, a double amputee who was making history as the first climber to summit Everest with prosthetic legs. Inglis's team paused briefly to check on David, but running low on oxygen themselves, chose to continue. David's death ignited fierce debate. Critics accused the climbers who passed him of prioritizing their own ambitions over a life. Yet, in the death zone, where survival is tenuous even for the fittest, rescuing another climber can be nearly impossible. David's story is a sobering reminder of Everest's brutal realities. His decision to climb alone, with insufficient oxygen and no communication equipment, left him with no margin for error. In 1998, Frances Arsentiev set out to achieve a historic feat, becoming the first American woman to summit Everest without supplemental oxygen. Accompanied by her husband Sergei, Frances was determined to make her mark, but their climb was marred by critical missteps. Without Sherpa support or a backup team, the couple was entirely self-reliant. They spent 2 nights in the death zone, a dangerous decision that pushed their bodies to the brink. On May 22nd, they reached the summit late in the day, a moment of triumph overshadowed by the risks of a delayed descent. As darkness fell, Frances began to struggle. The lack of oxygen and extreme cold took their toll, and she collapsed. Sergei, desperate to save her, descended to retrieve oxygen and help. Tragically, he never returned. His body was later found, evidence suggesting he had fallen while attempting to rescue his wife. The next morning, an Uzbek team discovered Frances alive but immobilized. They attempted to assist her, offering oxygen and trying to move her, but the treacherous terrain made it impossible to carry her. The following day, Ian Woodall and Kathy O'Dowd encountered Frances again. She was barely conscious, her frostbitten face and hands frozen in waxy stillness. Despite their efforts, they could not save her. Frances died where she lay, earning the haunting nickname Sleeping Beauty. For nearly a decade, her body remained a somber marker on the mountain, a reminder of Everest's beauty and cruelty. In 2007, Ian Woodall returned to move Frances's body off the main route, granting her a more dignified resting place. Her story underscores the critical importance of preparation, teamwork, and the harsh realities of high-altitude mountaineering. The tales of Marty Hoey, David Sharp, and Frances Arsentiev reveal Everest's dual nature as both an inspiring and merciless force. It is a place where ambition must be matched by respect, preparation, and teamwork. Success on Everest demands not only physical strength but also mental resilience, meticulous planning, and the humility to recognize when to turn back. For those who dream of climbing Everest, these stories are both warnings and inspirations. They remind us that while the mountain offers unparalleled beauty and achievement, it also demands unwavering respect. Every decision matters, and in the death zone, there is no room for error. Mount Everest is more than a mountain. It is a symbol of human ambition and the limits of endurance. Let these stories inspire you to face your own challenges with preparation, humility, and respect.